Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is LaToria, and I am here for another episode of Soul Care Sessions. And today we have a new guest with us, new face, Miss Katrina Duncan. She is joining us this season and for a season. I see your ink, sis. That's dope.
I like the ink. I love it. I can't deny that.
That was a low-key flex. She was like, hey, y'all. No, so introduce yourself to these ladies and let them know
Absolutely.
what you do, what you're about.
Okay, absolutely. So again, she said, my name is Katrina Duncan, and I am a counselor. I've been a school counselor for, I'm finishing up year 10, or it might be year 11. I'm aging a little bit. And so I've been in high school and in middle school, never did elementary. The snot kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
With the baby,
Same here.
But seriously, I am very passionate about helping young women and helping women. So much of what I see every day surrounds trauma, from childhood trauma. People don't even necessarily realize, things that are going on in their world, their own reactions are caused by trauma. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Wow.
And so we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk. But yeah, that's me. That's my mission. That's my passion. It's really helping young girls and women. And I say women because, young girls grow up to be women.
Yes.
And if we're not careful, we're going to take some of these same things, into adulthood. So That's what I'm here for. Yes.
Real talk. Well, I'm so excited you're going to be joining us for this season. And we're just going to jump straight into it. Like I had some downtime with the holidays and all that. I was like, man, what are some good conversations that I think would help these young ladies navigate through the world of high school and life and all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
Toxic relationships.
Yes.
Ow. Okay, so that's what's we're putting on the table today. Is the topic of toxic relationships. And I think that you are the woman for the job. So we're going to jump in. Can you start with just giving us like a definition, some definitions for toxic people and toxic relationships for those who may not have heard that term before?
Sure. The thing about it is the first thing that comes to mind is something I was told growing up. It's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Or the one that says, if a person shows you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Believe them. And the last one is actions, right? How we act speaks louder than whatever we say.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about toxic relationships, we think about when a person is taking more than they're giving, not in, just gifts, but rather in actions, words, support. And really, when we talk about toxic relationships, it's not limited to romantic relationships. We just think about boo thang, but no, we're talking about relationships with friends, co-workers, and believe it or not, family relationships can be toxic,
Absolutely.
And when we say toxic, we mean things that are just unhealthy, innately, just unhealthy physically and emotionally, psychologically, things that just take away from who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
And then, just we talk about toxic, but I want to go into toxicity, which means it's the quality of being very harmful or very pervasive, just very insidious.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's helpful. So what would you say are like some key signs that we could be looking for just with toxic people or toxic relationships?
When the bad interactions outweigh the good interactions. When you are in a situation or a relationship with a person and literally the bad days are outweighing the good days, the person you're in a relationship with, they lie constantly, or they check on you constantly, always asking where you are, who you with, what you doing. They want to check your social media. They want access to your phone. They want, to just know everything at all times, and they don't give you space or they don't respect your opinion. They're always right. They blame you for their behavior.
Wow.
It's your fault. If you were doing this right, then I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Or you're not smart enough to do it anyway. Get that a lot at work. You don't get the project because they feel like, well, you can't do it anyway. You're not smart enough. You don't have the capability to do it when they never gave you the opportunity to, doesn't allow you, any freedom at all, emotionally unstable, people blow up at the littlest things. You didn't sweep the floor, so it's a big thing, or you're 5 minutes late, it's the end of the world. These are all, and I'm always 5 minutes late. I was on time today, praise the Lord, but I'm always late.
I'm right there with you, sis. I'm right there with you.
Listen, I'm grateful for grace, honey. But yeah, just, it's always an argument. It's always a tug and pull. You know what I mean? Nothing is ever easy. When we talk about relationships, you're breaking up all the time. You know what I mean? And there's that old song, you break up to make up. That's only good once or twice.
Right. It shouldn't be like your normal situation, huh?
That should not be your normal situation. And it's sad because this has become the norm in so many situations, and people don't realize it's toxic because it's normal to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't realize that it's doing harm to them, and that the repeated exposure to it is causing trauma.
Wow.
Trauma that will at some point have to be unpacked, or death and misery. You know what I mean? And so we have to rethink what's normal. Yeah.
Absolutely. Trauma, nor death, nor misery is none of that stuff is God's will for our lives, ladies. So
and who as a little girl grew up and said, I want to be in a relationship where I'm not loved, or I'm not respected, or I'm not thought about. Don't you don't you want to be
consideration?
Consideration, that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you feel like are like the effects, kind of tying into what you were just saying, like short-term or long-term kind of effects of being in a toxic relationship, whether it's a friendship or romantically involved?
Well, like I said earlier, it will surprise many people to know that, family relationships can be toxic, and it'll be an even bigger surprise to hear that parental relationships can be the most toxic. Abusers become abusers. People that are used to being toxic are therefore toxic. You know what I mean? They're being unhealthy, not having strong, solid relationships where I pour into you and you pour into me. So our views on love are developed well before we're even cognizant of it. When we're children, we're watching our parents, what I mean? We're watching our aunt and uncle, we're watching our big brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? Even on TV, we're like, well, wait a minute, what's on TV? The Huxtables, that ain't my house.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there's some semblance of, well, that ain't normal. What's on TV with the Huxtables ain't normal. It probably really wasn't normal. But what we also experienced was so far from normal, but you don't know that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we tend to then repeat that. The effects of staying in a toxic relationship results from being exposed to it. So then you repeat it, or you even look for it. You desire what you saw, regardless if it was good or bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Low self-esteem results from that. Right. So it often turns to attention-seeking behaviors. What do you need to do to get that attention? Acceptance of things that are uncomfortable, and ultimately harm us, and then we talk about trauma, right? We talk about the chronic trauma, and, what are the effects of that? Exhaustion, confusion, sadness, depression. And sadness and depression are two, you got sadness, depression, girl, like they can't get up out of bed. You don't want to do the things that you normally do type stuff, like the things that you enjoy, they no longer are enjoyable for you. Anxiety develops. You don't trust anyone. These are all effects of, just continuing to be in a toxic relationship. We didn't even hit on the physical yet, girl.
That part.
We didn't hit on the physical yet.
That part.
We're talking about, especially as African Americans, we're more prone to heart problems, right? You talk about high blood pressure, heart disease, chronic pain, girl, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It's like, what? Is that a thing? Yes, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Headaches. Can't figure out why your head won't stop hurting. These are all, effects of just staying in, a toxic relationship.
Absolutely. Ladies, I want you guys to pay attention to how Katrina is bringing up trauma and how it's directly connected. You remember we talked about trauma a couple of episodes ago. So if you haven't heard that conversation, go back and listen to that conversation.
Please.
Yes, because we unpack it for you there, and there's a purpose for that, because we're trying to get you guys to see the big picture, but then also how every little aspect of life is connected to each other. All the choices that you make and who you make those choices with, they're connected to each other, and they directly affect you in a specific way. So it was not planned. It's just, this is reality.
It's reality.
Yeah.
It really is reality. And we don't talk about trauma. It's like now in 2020, now we're, in a mental health pandemic, and now
2021 now, huh?
Well, we're rolling right on into it, but we're going to, hey,
it feels the same though.
Listen, we're saying that 2021 can't be 2020. Okay, we listen. If you weren't on your knees before, you on your knees now.
That's
right?
Real talk.
Asking for help, because we know where our help comes from.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But now it's an awareness, because we weren't talking about it before, and I think things that we don't talk about hurt us, even more.
Yeah.
So as she said, y'all go back and watch that, because we just think that's a them problem. No, baby.
Right.
That's
a us problem.
Yes, and we have more trauma, okay, than you will ever know, than most people will ever even admit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially being African American, there's no way that you can be a Black woman, especially in this country, and not have some level of trauma that you've dealt with. So
absolutely,
it's there, ladies. And our hope is that your generation will normalize it and begin to treat yourself and be aware of self and be aware of ways to treat those symptoms and realities in ways that our generation was not. That's why we're here. That's why we're having this conversation. So if you have not seen that episode, go back, listen to it, and then come back and listen to this one, and it'll connect some dots for you.
Right. Sometimes I got to watch things 2 or 3 times, honey, to really just get it. I can I can read something and, read it again. It's like I got something different this time. You know what I mean? So maybe if you have watched it, go back and watch it again, because you may get something different this time than you did the first time you listened to it.
So true.
If you're worth it. If you feel like you're worth it, don't spend the time on you, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Because, you said as African-American women, and I think we, innately, we want to take care of everybody else. We carry the weight of our families, our husbands, the country on our back. You know what I mean? Because we have to be the protector. We want to be the nurturer. You know what I mean? Well, there's only so much pouring out you can do. There's only so much giving you can do without pouring back into yourself.
Absolutely.
You gotta take steps to watch videos like this, read some books that can help you really understand what's going on.
That's real talk.
So if we're gonna take care of people, we gotta take care of us.
It starts with yourself first. And even I remember when I was a teenager, I remember when I was y'all's age, I didn't have a husband, of course, but I had 4 younger siblings. And my mom and them was working 2 jobs. And so a lot of the stuff that you're saying, Katrina, even at their age, they probably already know about taking care of your younger siblings, being a nurturing person. I was helping with homework, combing heads, wiping noses and folding at 14 and 15, so I'm sure that and that's not necessarily normal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I didn't have a resource like this when I was age. So my prayer is that you guys will take advantage of it, because in the season and times that you guys are living with the pressure that we know y'all are going through, these types of conversations are here on behalf of FCA, on behalf of Jesus Christ.
Give
you access to an escape and a way to inform yourself and be aware, of what's going on around you. How do we, Katrina, even avoid speaking of, like, how do we avoid toxic relationships as much as we can? I know you talked about sometimes it's your parents who are they are the individuals that are toxic and they don't know it. And so they're projecting that on to their children. So what are some ways that as these ladies can help it, they avoid toxic relationships?
You know, it's my hope that as you guys are watching this, that you would be kind of cognizant, kind of aware of some of the things we're saying. You know, if you've experienced some of this, right? If you, you know, had someone that did something harmful to you when you were small, or you realize, you know what, they said that ain't normal. You know, it really starts with addressing our own trauma, right? Yes. So talking to someone, really getting some help for us to address our own trauma, because if we don't, then we're going to stay in it. And again, I say, we're going to seek it. You know what I mean? So if you don't get some help or have some healthy conversations, you know, with people, then you're going to do the same things that you don't want. Isn't that crazy? That we're going to do the same things that we don't want. There is no avoiding if we're not getting the help. You know what I mean? If we don't know, you know, we got to have some conversations. You know, that's why I'm so thankful for us having this conversation with young girls and coaches, you know, because sometimes you don't know until you know. But when you know, you got to do something about it, right?
My grandmama used to say, when you know better, do better.
When you know better, you better do better. You hear me? And the thing about it is, trauma is relative. Yeah. Right? I remember growing up, girl, they used to say kids ain't got problems. Y'all ain't come back where you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's a lie from hell. Don't let the devil lie to you. That is a lie because it's relative. Yeah. No, you're not worried about the lights being cut off because that's not relative to where you are. But losing a friendship, that means the world to you. Absolutely. Right? That means the world. And so when I say it's relative, meaning what I feel is traumatic may not be the same thing you feel is traumatic. Two people can live in the same house, sister and sister, right? Or brother, you live in the same house, experience the same things. One of you is going to feel like it was fine. It was great. It was gravy, baby. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. One of you is going to come out of that traumatized. You know what I mean? And when I tell you, gosh, man, when I tell you, I think back to my own childhood and just being aware. I'm about to have a transparent moment, y'all, now.
Keep it funky.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, when I think back to, you know, it was me, my brother and sister. We grew up in the same house, right? And so, and I will say, I thank God for everything that happened in my childhood, because yes, I had to work through it, but also those things made me the person I am today. Wow. If I didn't go through those, I may not be this woman. I may not have the tools in my tool belt to help them, to help y'all. You understand what I'm saying? Absolutely. And so when I say that, we were in the same household, right? But I came out of that feeling like, I can't do this. I can't, you know, like, you know, just being, I was raised in the hood. I can say that because I'm from the hood. You know, when people say, well, you know, they from the hood or whatever, and it's offensive. Listen, I'm from the hood, so I can say that, right? Yeah. And so when I say you know, people in and out the house, because my mother was nurturing, but then there was also a time when she was addicted to drugs, right? And so in that, you know.
Can I just pause for a second and say, like, the very real reality, like where you said your mom is addicted to drugs. I have family members that were like, one was an alcoholic and one was on a couple of different drugs. Like, we don't even have time to talk about what your mama went through.
Oh no, we don't.
To the point where she was addicted to drugs. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we hear that, and I want to tell y'all this: be careful not to judge your parents.
Absolutely,
because you don't know what it's like to be a parent and or to be a grown Black woman in this world.
Oh my gosh.
Where there is oppression and white supremacy, and you trying to raise your kids, and there's a lot going on. And so unfortunately, sometimes, you know, some of our women find themselves trying to escape. And then whatever that thing is that gives them that temporary escape, you can get addicted to it. I just wanted to interject that.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because one of the things about my mom in particular was she didn't have a mom, you know? So she's trying to raise kids when she didn't know. I mean, she never experienced, you know, being mothered. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so and I praise God, a testimony, she is no longer addicted to drugs, and she's doing very well. I praise God for that. You know, but again, I praise God that I went through that process with her. You know what I mean? And so for me, I just knew that I didn't want that life. You know what I mean? I was the first one to graduate high school in my family, the first one to go to college and all of that. And I thank God for that, because, you know, one of my siblings didn't see the point of even graduating, dropped out of 9th grade.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And here I am. So I say that to say what I felt was completely different than what they felt. And that's okay. What they felt was okay. What I felt was okay. We want to put our feelings against other people's feelings, and that's not, feelings are just feelings.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily dictate how you feel. You dictate what you do with it, but not necessarily the emotion in and of itself.
Right.
So I can say all of that to say it's just different. Don't compare yourself to anybody else and what their trauma is. You know what I mean? Or just because they don't see it as bad doesn't mean that it's not bad to you.
Right. Yeah.
You don't need somebody to validate whether or not you felt bad about a situation. You know what I mean? And so that leads me to forgiveness. When I tell you the best way to avoid toxic people is to forgive the situations that you found yourself in.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Now, forgiveness and fellowship are not the same thing, meaning you don't have to be friends with someone who has wronged you, or a friend or a boyfriend or, family. You don't have to forgive them. You don't have to be in fellowship with them. You don't have to be in a relationship with them, but you do have to forgive them.
Yeah.
Right. And I say that because if you carry unforgiveness, right, then you become the toxic person.
Say that again. Say it again for the people in the back.
If you carrying it, then you become the toxic person. And guess what? It ain't hurting the person that you upset with. It's only hurting you.
You know, boy, you the one losing sleep.
You the one losing sleep.
Katrina, that's real talk. And I've been that person. I've been the one that's like holding on to that thing that person did and feeling like they did it to me. So it's I'm right for being angry and being hurt and all that stuff, but it's just like, but they've moved on and I'm still here thinking about it.
You still here thinking about it. They happy, kikiing and ha-ha, and you just miserable. Why? And here's the thing about it. If we would take the time, because we're talking about avoiding toxic people, if we would just take the time to get to know people, right, before we commit,
or take it further and get physical and start sleeping with them,
all of that. Because then once you are physically connected to them, that's a whole nother stronghold in your life. That's a whole nother connection.
Soul ties. We're going to talk about
soul tie.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Hey, I'm so glad.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Okay, because the thing about it is when we talk about these relationships, it's really not that it's, a bad person with a good person, two bad people, two good. It's just that sometimes we're mismatched because we didn't take the time to get to know the person.
Right.
So then the personality clash is what's toxic. Right? Right? So it's important to really, really get to know them and then decide. Yeah. Not, be with them. And then when you're in it, you're like, oh man, this wasn't what I thought. You didn't have time to think. You just jumped in it. Right? And I'm guilty of that. Yeah. I'm guilty of that. I think most of us are guilty of that.
Yes, we are.
We jump into something.
Right. They cute or fine or whatever. Or
whatever.
Got a deep voice or whatever.
Okay. Or whatever. Right. Right. Even with friendships though. Let's go to be real with the friendships, right?
That's true.
Don't be so quick girls. Don't be so quick to call somebody your friend.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna tell them all your secrets, and then next thing you know, it's on Snapchat. People should earn your trust, just like you need to earn people's trust.
That's real
right?
talk.
You want to avoid it, give it some time. Get to know them, right?
Yeah.
That's make sure y'all are headed in the right directions.
Yes.
Right.
So taking like what you said, like when you were saying like you've been that girl before, you've been that person, like what do you do? Like for the person who's listening to this conversation and they like, dang, they talking about me. I am in a toxic relationship. like, you know what I'm saying? This person or these people are toxic, or like the things that they're describing. This is my experience, like right now. Like, what do you do once you figure out, you know, that's me. I'm the one that's in a toxic situation.
You know what? I think it's important that we realize that sometimes people are toxic. People in our lives are toxic and they don't know it.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know it for the lack of communication. They really just don't know it. And it, you know, sometimes it stems subconsciously from, you know, like we said, trauma and all of that kind of stuff, but they don't even understand why they are doing what they're doing. You know, maybe they were in a toxic relationship, or they've, you know, not had a supportive upbringing, or maybe they were bullied at school, or maybe they're suffering from an undiagnosed, and this is so big in our community, you know, an undiagnosed mental health disorder, you know, depression, anxiety, bipolar, eating disorder. Yeah, we have those too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we looking out there and want to be fine and all that, but we ain't going about it the right way. So the first thing to do is to realize that you're not responsible for their actions. You're not responsible for their trauma.
Wow.
And this one is even bigger. Baby, you can't fix them. You cannot fix it, because that's the first thing I think a lot of times, because now we're intertwined with this person, this friend or this boyfriend, you know, or this girlfriend. We're intertwined with them in such a way that we just want to fix them so we can be with them.
Yeah.
And that's, we're not God. That's his job. Only he
true.
can do that. Right?
So true.
The other thing that we need to do is communicate. Sometimes we expect people to read our minds. Listen, here's a secret nobody ever told me. People only know what you tell them. I don't know about you, but my mama didn't tell me that. Like, if you want that man to do something, you need to tell it. He don't know. He don't know, baby. He don't know that you don't like that. Like, you're viewing it as a bad thing, and he's like, well, you ain't never said nothing. How I know? If it bothers you, say something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like, that makes sense.
Listen, say something. Wow. Right? And then listen, pray, because a lot of times you're like, well, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do. Ask God to guide your words, guide your actions, right? You know,
yeah.
It's all fun and games until you really need to act on something, right? You know, because a lot of times we'll just talk about things, and that's fine, you know, but when it comes to acting on something or actually doing something about it, it's like, whoa. You know, I told you what's going on, but that don't mean I want to do something about it, you know? Even pray for strength. Pray for strength. Real. And really, to me, listen, when I tell you, whenever I got something going on, I'm searching God's word, because listen, it's all in there. We thinking this stuff is brand new. It's all in there. Everything that's going on, ain't none of it new, right? And then if you decide, you know what, it's time, I need to end this relationship, right? Don't take your time. Don't, you know, tiptoe around it. Don't wait till something major happens. Yeah. End it. Yeah. End it. You know, I know so many people that have been in a relationship, just on the top of my head, 7 years. 7 years. And they know it. That's what's so crazy. They say, I know I need to end it. I know that this ain't good for me. Man. I know it. And it's not good for them either. Yeah. Right? It's not good for them either. Right?
I've been there. Like, I've been there, and like, so moment of transparency.
Okay.
Transparency on my end, like several relationships that I've been in, it's just been God that cut it.
Yeah.
Because I was so wrapped up in, especially in high school, how it's going to hurt the other person, and they're not going to be able to be all right without me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to trivialize, because some of y'all might feel that way, and I don't mean to trivialize it. But baby, they're gonna be all right. Like, God's got them. Like, I'm giving you permission to end it. If what Miss Katrina just said is jacking you up in your chest and your mind right now, you know she's talking to you, I'm giving you permission to cut that thing off. Because it's not, cut it. You need to cut it.
I'm trying to tell you.
It's not worth it. And that person is going to be okay. Just like God's got you, God's got him or her. Absolutely. And they're going to be all right. Don't be like me. Because I found myself caught up in these unnecessary relationships and situations because I wouldn't just follow what God was telling me. LaToria, you know that this is not what you need. You keep coming to me crying because what this person did and all of like, just walk away. And for the life of me, so he had to cut it for me. Don't be like me. Be better. Cut it off for yourself. Like, and that kind of brings me to that last point of just like people pleasing, right? Like,
right.
And sometimes you may not even know that you wrestle with or you deal with people pleasing, and that's basically putting other people's feelings before yourself. You're a martyr where you always got to be the one to take the short end of the stick and let that person release all of their trauma on you because you can take it because you're strong and all. Like, what do we do when we like how do you first recognize that people pleasing is something that you may wrestle with and then stop? And then also, like, how does that affect a toxic situation? Like, how do we get to a point where we change the way that we want to be treated, you know?
Yeah. You know what? The thing about it is what you just said, you know, when you are in those situations, why is that? We need to be asking the question, why is it that this is okay? Why is it that I can't let go? You know, and it could be, like you said, well, I'm scared they're not going to be good without me and all that kind of stuff. That's one thing. But some of us thought that's all we deserved.
Wow. Talk about that for just a second.
Right. So when we don't know what we deserve.
Wow.
When you don't know what you deserve, you'll take anything. Just because you're like, well, this is the best I can get. This is the best I've seen.
So we're going to pause and say, ladies, what you deserve is to be loved with the same type of selfless love that the Creator loves you with. If you can't, and that's with any relationship, your homegirl, your boo thing, your mom and them, everybody, all of them, period. That's on period. Like, it's a selfless love that reflects the Creator. And then, so if you're dealing with people who aren't healthy enough and operating with an understanding of who their Creator is, same Creator you got, right? And that Creator, His love is not flowing through them to you, check it, because that's what you deserve, regardless of what you did, regardless of who you did it with, regardless of how many times you did it, regardless of what happened to you in your past. None of those things matter. What you deserve is the same type of selfless love that your Creator has for you and what He's displayed for you through the person and work of Jesus Christ. Absolutely. So just so we're clear. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, you know, He wouldn't have had to die. Jesus didn't have to die for us. We had it all together. You know what I mean? Ooh. He died because He already knew all that foolishness we were going to go through. Listen, when I tell you, I cry so hard because I know the foolish things I did in high school for love. You know, the things I allowed to be done just to get some love. You know what I mean? And it makes me sad when I'm at school and I'm interacting with these girls and I see the repeat. And that's our goal. And that's what I'm hoping is going to be achieved with this message, is that we stop the repeat, you know? And the number one way we do that is to work on us. Make a list, man. Make a list. What do you want? What do you want? What's important to you? You know, and here's the thing, what's for you ain't gonna miss you. So don't be scared to be alone, right? Well, because some of us, you know, we were just scared to be alone. We didn't want to, you know, not have a boyfriend. We're the only one, you know what I'm saying, ain't got a boo on Instagram. Right. You know what I mean? That's such a big thing, you know, or even going back a little bit to the whole, you know, what we deserve and being loving to ourselves. You know, it's sad, but we'll, you know, as women, we'll go with somebody that is, you know, they're already with somebody. And so you said, do you deserve a half person? No. Do you want a full person? And what makes you want to do that to the other woman? You know what I'm saying? To the other person. You know what I mean? So we have to work on us to understand that we do deserve it. You know what I mean? True. Even if that's a daily affirmation, you know, something that you put on the wall, on your mirror every morning. I got a whole tattoo, girl, a whole tattoo that says love.
I love
on my rib as a reminder. Girl, you gotta love
all right.
You hear me? You better love yourself.
Do what you got to do.
Listen, because you'll accept what you don't deserve until you understand what you do deserve. You know?
That's a whole word, sis. A whole word.
Listen, I'm just trying to say, and it's the truth, you know, and that's in friendships too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need, and then guess what? You need to be what you want. You need, if you want a good friend, you need to be a good friend. Don't expect to have a good friend and
that's
you can't
facts.
be a good friend.
And you trash.
Be a girlfriend. Have the qualities, right? That makes someone say, man, okay. And then you're going to expect the same things in return, communication, and, you know, just sacrifice, you know?
Yes.
And, you know, I'm going to end with this, girl. You know, the word of God says that a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. We don't have to sacrifice who we are, who he's created us to be, to receive all that he has for us.
Wow.
We don't have to sacrifice who we are to get what he has for us. It's not going to miss you, baby. I promise it ain't going to miss you.
It ain't going to miss you, sis.
It ain't going to miss you. Be the best you. That's the best way to avoid a toxic relationship.
Absolutely.
To be the best you and expect the best.
Absolutely.
Expect it, be it, and expect it. Period.
Absolutely.
And if it ain't it, walk away.
Keep it moving. Keep it pushing.
Keep it moving.
It's a waste of time, yo. It really is. Especially at y'all's age. I would just encourage you, just like with what Katrina said, like focus on you. Like survey what your life looks like. Who's in your life? What is your family dynamics? Understand and identify the areas that are toxic, because I promise you it's somewhere.
Somewhere. Everybody got something.
We all got it.
That's important for us to say, because some people feel like, you know, they don't want to be like, well, something's wrong with me. Baby, we all got it.
We all got it.
You didn't have to die if we didn't all have something wrong. You would be in heaven already if you didn't.
That's
it. I'm just saying, we all got something.
Yes.
There's something wrong with you. The only thing that's wrong with us is when we don't fix it, when we don't get help, when we don't try to be better.
You try to pretend like it's not there.
Or yes, absolutely. Absolutely, because it's there, baby.
It's there.
It's there.
Staring at you and everybody else that can see it.
Man.
So take your time. Take your time to identify those things and work through that before you try to jump into something. Just like she said, just because it's what you see on social media. First of all, social media is the biggest trick. Like nobody puts nobody puts what's real on social media. So you cannot let that dictate what your life is supposed to be, because nobody's life or experiences are just happy all the time, hugged up, booed up all the time, face beat, lips popping all the time, hair all the time. Like it's not not true. It's not the truth. So you have to really, our encouragement is focus on what's real.
Focus on what's real.
Is what looks back at you every day when you wake up in the mirror. No makeup, hair all over your head, edges unlaid, bonnet halfway off your head. What?
Were you looking in here this morning? Did you you got a camera in here with me this morning? I'm just trying to see, because that's show how I woke up. Listen, and that's who we got to live with right there.
That young lady, that's the one that you need to be focused on, investing in, detoxing.
Say that one more time. Investing in.
Yes, investing in.
Yes.
And you doing like this, that's all day scrolling. That's not an investment. Put that thing down and read a book.
Man. And you know, the thing
with the word of God. Start there.
That part. There's a whole, you know what?
What's real and what's true, y'all.
You know what? If you want to pick up your phone, I got one for them. Listen, if y'all want to pick up your phone, there's an app. It's called the Bible app, right? and the funny thing about it is they have all of these different, and I ain't got no money.
Real though.
That's what I use every morning, okay? So they have devotionals, right? They call them plans that meet you where you are. So you can search up whatever it is. Y'all know how to search? You can search up what it is, and then it'll be a plan specific to that topic. right? Because a lot of times, you know, especially for like middle schoolers, even high schoolers, it's like we're saying, you know, invest it, but they don't know how, right? So let's talk about the how, right? And since you brought up the Bible, that's such a good thing, right? Get on there, and guess what? You can do a plan with friends. You can do it with your boo thing. And if they looking at you crazy, you probably need to
cut it,
right? And so you can go on there and do that. You know, the other things are, start thinking, if you want to pick up that phone, here's another thing. Start looking at what you want to do with life. You want to go to college? What did it take to get in there? Because people, you know, they say all the time, I want to go to college. Okay, how you gonna get in? What you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's so many things. Think about your future.
Yes.
And make a plan for it, baby, because it's on the way.
It's on the way. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. You're gonna blink 4 times and be finna graduate. And people looking at you like, what you finna do with your life?
Yeah. So
it's a real thing. We love y'all. That's why we still talking. And
we still talking, because I'm like, man.
It's because we're trying to give you free game. We're trying to give you free game.
Listen.
So
I never heard. I don't know about you. I ain't never heard it. I didn't hear it when I was their age. I ain't lying. That's why I love.
You have to figure it out.
I love working with girls, because it's like, man, y'all have so much potential.
Yeah.
You have everything, like every opportunity in front of you. You know what I mean? People have paved the way, you know, in this country for us. God has paved the way in the spirit for us. You know what I mean? There is nothing that we can't do and can't achieve. And there's nothing that we have to accept that ain't right. If it ain't right, you ain't got to accept it.
It's true.
You know?
Absolutely.
Man, I'm sorry, I keep talking. You better tell me to be quiet.
You're good, sis. Listen, we're gonna pause for now, but we will be back next month. Katrina, we are so excited that you are joining us this season. You are a blessing, and we can already tell that it's fixing to be some fire conversations. So, ladies, just to remind you, these conversations are brought to you on behalf of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And so if there are thoughts, comments, frustrations, prayer requests, all the things that you want to say, things that you want to hear us talk about that maybe you're trying to figure out or you're wrestling or dealing with now, email me. You can email me at latoriawilson@fca.org. That's the best and fastest way to catch me. So email me there. Until next time, we look forward to talking to you, and we hope that you will tune in. Go back and listen to that message about trauma. Then come back next month, because we did come back next month.
Yes, thank you so much. We see y'all next month.
Love y'all. Bye. Yes.